Today we are going to learn about algebraic equations. So who here has any idea what an algebraic equation is? You've heard of them? Who wants to take a guess? Yeah, Brian.
Do they have letters and numbers in them?
Yes, very good. Algebraic equations are equations that have any letters in them. Have any of you ever seen equations like that with letters? Yeah? Good. Okay. So we are going to learn how to solve those equations. Does anyone know what those letters are called? Dan?
Variables?
Yeah, good! The letters in any of those algebraic equations are called variables. And so, in order to solve for those variables, we need to use something called inverse operations. And does anyone here know what an operation in math is? Take a guess at it? Joey?
Is it like minuses and pluses?
Yeah, good! So, another word that we like to use from the minus and plus is subtraction and addition. So, anything like subtraction, addition, multiplication, division, those are operations. And so, what we want is to figure out which of those operations are opposite from each other, which is the inverse operations. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to give Mike 3 tennis balls. So there you go, Mike. And I'm going to give Joey over here 4 of these tennis balls. So we have Mike who's starting with 3. And so Joey, I want you to give Mike your 4 tennis balls.
Yeah!
Nice. Okay, so clearly you guys all know how many Mike has now.
7.
Very good. Okay, so if Mike has 7, how do we get him back to his original 3 tennis balls? Yeah, Dan.
Subtract 4.
Good! Okay, so Dan, since you got it, go ahead and take those 4 tennis balls away.
Oh. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so who can tell me what we first did after Mike started with his 3 and then Joey gave him some? What operation in math is that?
Addition.
Good, Brian. Okay, so we have the addition part of it. And then, in order to get back to those first 3 tennis balls, what did Dan here do?
Subtracted.
Right, he subtracted the tennis balls. So, can we say that those 2 are opposite each other?
Sure.
Yeah, good. Okay, so let's try it the other way now. So, Dan, how about you take 5 of those tennis balls? There you go. Great. And then we are going to give Brian 3. Or actually, you know what? In order to do it the other way, I'll take the 3 back. Sorry about that, Brian. Okay. But Brian, what I'm going to have you do is you can take 1 of Dan's tennis balls from him. There we go. So now Dan has how many? Yes, he has 4 tennis balls. So, in order for Dan to get back to his original 5, Brian, what do you need to do?
Add it back.
Great. So, Brian, can you tell us what just happened with Dan's tennis balls?
I added 1 tennis ball, so now he has 5.
Good. So then, when you first took it away, you were
Subtracting.
yes, and then you gave it back. You were
Adding.
great. Okay, so clearly you all get that adding and subtracting are opposite each other. So, do you guys want to see what this is like in an actual math equation now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I'll take these tennis balls back from you guys. There we go. Thank you. And so, what we're going to do is, if you have an equation like x plus 6 equals 9. Okay, so this is kind of scary looking because all of a sudden math has letters in it. What? Math is supposed to be about numbers. What is this? Okay, so what this X is going to stand for right here, that represents how many tennis balls you guys started with. So like with Dan here, he had just started with 5, for instance. So if we were doing an equation like that, that would be his X. But we don't know how many you guys started with in this instance, so that's what we're trying to figure out. So, what we need to do is, now that we have more things other than just numbers in these equations, we have to make sure that we are very organized, otherwise we might get everything confused. So the best way that I like to do this is called the railroad track method. And what you do is the equal sign is always going to stay in here when you're doing your equations. So you just want to make a nice little track for that equal sign to fit into, kind of like a railroad track. And then we see this plus symbol. You guys remember what we just learned is the opposite of the addition? Yeah, Joey.
Minus.
Yes, good. Okay, so what we need to do is, Joey, since you got that, you want to come minus. Okay, so we need to do the opposite of what we see here. So we see that you're adding 6. So we just want this x by itself because we want to solve for it. So what do you need to do to this to get x by itself?
Minus that.
Great. Okay, so you're going to minus the 6, and if you do one thing to one side of the equation, you have to do it to both sides. Awesome job. Okay, so what we see Joey did here is he saw that it was plus 6, so then he went ahead and subtracted 6 from this side, and since he did it from that side, he had to do it from this side too. So he wrote minus 6 down here. Then it's sometimes fun if you're trying to make your railroad tracks, you gotta make the lines that go across the railroad tracks. So you see 9 minus 6, and you all know what that is? 3. So that was great. Joey put 3 down there. And over here he wrote x plus 0. So we can just write x, and then you put that equal sign in there again, and we get 3.